Today we will demonstrate the #1 arm control, the most fundamental of all Japanese Jujutsu techniques. It's known as Ikkyo, Ikkajo, Ippon Dori, Kinesthetic, and many other things depending on what Japanese Jujutsu style you come up in. Those are the names that I'm familiar with because those are the styles that I came up in. The names of the technique in the Japanese style tend to describe the technique. It's very literal. Ikkyo, the Aikido name for this technique, means first technique. Ichi is the #1, so Ikkyo is the first technique. Ikkajo is a similar name, and that also means first form or primary form, but it also evokes the idea of either thinking of your partner's arm as a staff or your own arm as a staff. The staff is a jo. This is a 4-foot staff. It's straight, it doesn't bend. And so you'll see as we describe and we show the techniques, you're trying to straighten your opponent's arm out and not bend it. Ken nagare is another name for this technique. Nagare means throwing, and ken is the sword. This is a wooden sword, so it's a bow ken, sort of a staff sword. But ken nagare means to treat your arm, or maybe the opponent's arm, as if it is a sword, and you're going to keep it nice and straight and control the whole sword to control the body. You're treating the arms, your opponent's and your own, as the one point to control their whole body. In fact, these all come from a Jujutsu style Daito Ryu that calls this form Ippon Dori, which means one point control. The one point is the arm. And the first thing to do is just show it without any kind of attack. And so just go ahead and give me an arm. Just put an arm out there. Good. The basic control is this. I'm going to get outside the line of attack because I don't want to be in front of here trying to manipulate somebody's arm where he could be punching me with the other hand. Good. I'm going to get outside the line of attack. I'm going to grab a hold of a wrist and just above the elbow, right here. I'm going to take these as my control points. I'm going to keep these right in front of the center of my body, and I'm going to use this arm to draw his head sideways away from his feet. Every technique we're showing takes the center of balance away from my attacker. And I'm going to show why that's important in just a few minutes. All right, here we go. I'm going to turn this over and draw this right in front of my center. That's the basic of this control. Now, he's not fully controlled yet. I'm going to keep drawing him out until he has nowhere to go, and that is the #1 arm control. There's a basic standing pin I could apply from here. There's a whole video we do on pins. What I might ask him to do here is put his arm out to the side all the way and straighten out his legs and cross his ankles for me. That way I know where he is. So that's a good way to end this technique, or you can go into a lot more options in our pinning video. Okay, come on back up. I don't want to try to apply anything right in front of him when he has his sight, when he has his feet and his hands all available to attack me, and he's got his balance really well. That would be crazy for me to try to apply any kind of wrestling technique. The basic is to get off the attack line and to roll this forward. That begins to take his balance, and now pivot and bring him away from where he was standing. His head is no longer over his feet. Continue to draw him out to the side while I'm keeping this right in front of my center of balance. And then finish. Okay, good. Come on back up. Now, let's deal with some potential challenges to making this work. The first one is, go ahead and put your arm up here. If this feels very, now I'm not even dealing yet with his weapons, but if this just feels very heavy, taking him off balance, I'm having trouble, there's two possibilities. One is that I've let my hands get behind my center. And what I mean by that is the center of my belt right up through my chest is my power center. If I let my arms get behind here, then it's going to be hard for me to pull him along. This is 50 pounds. Right now I'm holding it in the vertical center of my body, roughly between my chest and my navel. That's my power zone. As long as I keep this weight here, I can control it pretty easily. But watch what happens when I move it to the side. All of a sudden, you can see I'm having trouble talking, and if my partner were to come put pressure on this, it's going to be very easy for him to push down. Whereas I put it here, he can come put the same pressure on, and I should be able to hold it without much trouble. That's one thing. The other thing is, if I take too long extending my arm straight, if there's a bend in it, he can push up if he realizes that he has that opportunity. I really need to, very quickly, and the way I do this is roll forward, down. So I'm going to roll forward while I press down. That rolls his arm around in a circle, and that helps me out. So that's one way to get this done. It takes a while to get pretty good at this. Now, members of the police force do this a little differently because they need to take away opportunities for failure because they're dealing with life and death, and they don't even practice this every single day, so they need to take some variance out. What they do instead is they'll use their forearm and roll down there. The reason I like to do that is because there is no bend between my elbow and my shoulder. There's nothing to get, what do you call it? There's no way that he can push up, go ahead and push up here, and create a bend and get out of this. There's nothing to bend, so go ahead and push up. There's nowhere to go. So I go ahead and draw him on down and move into my pin. All right, let Braden demonstrate that. Just with my arm. He's out behind, away from my punches or kicks. All right, and go ahead.
He's either this, or if you want to be safe, you use your whole forearm like so.
Yeah.
Making sure you're pressing on it while also rolling it over.
Yes.
Like you're giving him an Indian burn.
Yeah, you can actually.
That mean?
Yeah, can you see that? When he rolled forward a little bit, oh, you see it actually moved my body forward. Okay, my head is nowhere near my feet now, and from this point on, he's not going to give this balance back to me. Go ahead. Yes.
Make sure you're moving in a clockwork pattern the whole time.
Yeah. Good. Really nice. Okay, so now let's do the same thing with, we're going to do slow versions of an attack that's a straight grab. So this is very similar to what we just did. So don't move yet. I might be hitting him, or I might be grabbing him to hit with the other hand. So he's going to parry this in and go right to that same place and finish. Yeah, good. All right, so that's the first application of this technique. One more time. So I'm reaching to get him. Very good. All right, good. Second application, and I'll do that one. So come on back to the middle. You could also apply this same technique against a hooking punch. So he's going to take my head off, boom, right there. I can block it and apply this technique. But that exposes us to a different problem than just balance. Go ahead and throw this again. There's no way that he's going to just wait there for me to do this and get over here when he's got that other fist ready to go. So I'm going to need to do something to deal with that. There are two approaches to this. One is to move out of the way first. In this case, I can't. The second one is to give him something to think about. We call that attemming. I'm going to put my hand where his face is right now. I'm not going to rear back to punch him or even use my main punching power to do this. The reason is because I've got my main power right here. But I am going to extend my arm fully there. What's going to happen is that's going to hit him, and that's going to distract him, or he's going to flinch, which still is going to give me a moment to deal with this. Or he might even throw his hand up. Oh, do it again. Or he might throw his hand up, and it's still going to give me a moment to deal with what I wanted to deal with. That's called smart jujitsu. So again, on the other side, this one here, just so you can see, he throws this. I'm going to give him something to think about. then take this technique on. That is the way to apply the #1 arm control from a straight or a hooking punch. Now we'll move on to the more common Jujutsu applications. I'm going to start with a one wrist grab. So just reach out and grab my wrist. And I'm going to talk about some other principles here that we'll use for all the remaining grabs. Now, I need to, again, end up out here. Well, I'm inside here, so I've got to do something to get there. The first thing I need to do, though, is remember that this is a real threat. He's grabbed a hold of me to do something. In fact, yes, this grab here is the #1 grab. It's the most common assault grab. But it's because it's about to be used for something worse. Yeah, he's grabbing me to hit me. Boom. Yeah, good. All right, so what I need to do is not be where that is. The first thing I'm always going to try to do, as soon as someone grabs hold of me, so go ahead and let go. As soon as they grab, I'm going to move my body to the side. Did you see he had to recover? Good, go back. Grab again. I'm going to move it to the side. That gave me what I'm going to use in just a second, about a second worth of time where he could not be as strong with this grab because he's having to reposition himself. Go ahead, grab again. If I just grab hard, if I just try to start moving this arm here, it's very heavy. But if I move over to the side, there's a second in which he can't be heavy. Okay. The way I'm doing this is, let go for a second, I'm thinking of having a sword in my hand and pivoting my hip, like I'm cutting across him with my sword hand. There. And at the same time, I'm moving my body. And now I'm adding another thing. I'm going to put that atemi in there to give him something else to think about. So I'm going to move and put my fist up so that he has something to think about. There. That all together is going to give me time to come around the outside and put this on. Okay. Okay, good. All right, let's do the other side. I know we're taking a lot of time on this, and we're going to go much faster once we show all the variants, but the skill is going to be the same. He's got a pretty heavy grab here. If I can't move at all, if there's a wall here, I'm going to just use that atemi to put this on. All right, but since there's space, I'm going to use both of them. I'm going to use my movement and this. Now, come on around here, Claire, so you can see this side. To get around this hand, I'm going to assume it's still pretty heavy. I'm going to do what's called kokyu. I'm going to point my fingers up and just curve around it. So I'm not trying to lift it up high. I'm just bringing it right to the middle of my body in a circle motion. Look at that. Now I'm going to grab the wrist, put my hand on the elbow, and bring him on out to the side. That's my technique. All right? So let me show that all at once. He grabs right there. Okay. Good. We've dealt with strong. I don't want to try it right here because he's strong, and also if I just start messing around, he just starts hitting me. So I'm going to give him something to think about while I move to the side. I'm already a little off balance. I'm coming around, and he's a little more off balance, and I'm going to use my hip and my body to draw him to the side. Okay. Let me deal with the next problem. That's if he's not doing anything other than grabbing statically and showing a threat. That's not too likely. The likelihood is that he's got a kind of a pushing to it, or he's got a bit of a pull to it. The good news is, I actually don't have to do any more than I already did to deal with either one. Let's go very slow, grab on, and I said my movement is to slide to the side. Well, what if he pulls me into him? Go ahead and pull me in. Okay. I'm still just going to step to the side and put my Timmy up. Go ahead. Oh, and look. What it looks like has happened is I've entered into his space diagonally. And now I can put this on. Okay? Let's show this from the other side. He pulls. Oh, look at that. That's really good because he doesn't expect it. Right? I mean, it's like, whoa, it's in your face all of a sudden. You can learn, the more complicated way to learn this is, you're taking a forward irimi step, which means you're forward diagonal off the line. You're reaching what I call the superior position, at back shoulder blade. It's a great place to be if you can get there. All my weapons are pointed straight into him. All his weapons are pointed that way, and his line of sight is that way. About the only thing he can do is throw his elbows back at me, but I see him. He might be able to throw his foot back at me, but I see it. So I'm in a really good spot. Let's show that again. He pulls, and I'm getting to the superior spot. I can see very easily lots of places to strike him. Okay. And he can't see me as easily. And he has limited things that he could do. He might be able to throw this other elbow, but I'm ready for it. He might be able to do something with his foot, but I'm ready for it. Because I know that's all he can do. Where I have everything available. So that's a great place to be if you can get there. All right. As I said, the complex way to show it, go ahead, same side, give me that other side again, is to say step forward diagonally. But that gives me more to think about. What I'd just rather think about is go to the side, and if he happens to be pulling, that's where you end up. Here's another reason this is good. If he's pushing, I'm going to do this same thing, and it looks like a retreating diagonal step. All right, let's go to this side. Go ahead and push into me. Yeah, this would be a bad place to be. Go ahead and hit me in the face. Boom. But I'm not going to worry about it. As soon as this comes on, I'm going to step to the side and let it push me back, but diagonally. Okay. All right. So the basic movement again is I'm just going to move to the side. If he pulls me, oh, sorry. The basic movement again is I'm going to move to the side. There. If he pulls me, that means I end up here. If he pushes me, I end up back here. The reason the side is important is because it gets me away from the attack line. It also, especially, is going to help me when I have to go backwards. Because the last thing I want to do is go straight back. Keep pushing. It's going to be very easy for him to overwhelm me if I go straight back. But if I go sideways, it's easier for me to get my balance back. Plus, he falls forward a little bit. I'm not where he thought I would be. Go ahead, go. There. Oh, look at that. Nice. Okay, so let me let Braden show that back. Without anything, just give me the atemi and go into the movement. So strike me.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, and good. This time I'm going to pull you. And when I do, yes. Again, here's something I want to mention that Claire did, and I know Braden did at least once. I've been talking about bringing the arm out sideways. Okay? Because that's the most basic. They're doing something a little bit more advanced, and that is this. Go ahead and grab it again. They're, instead of just dragging out, they're pivoting a little bit and going to make a circle.
Think of it like a clock.
Yeah, and then go ahead and drag it down there. There. That's a little bit more advanced. It's harder to do, but it's a lot harder for him to deal with because now, here's what we're doing. If I'm just trying to push this arm down, that gives him one thing to think about. I'm going to resist. Okay, but what I'm going to do is give him a lot of things. I'm going to turn this arm and push it down. That gives him two things to think about. And at the same time, I'm going to drag out. So that's three things to think about at one time. It's a lot to deal with. What they're doing is giving him four things. I'm going to make a circle too. And you can see how difficult it is. No matter how strong I am, if if I start having to catch up with my arm, it's really difficult for me to feel where to resist. That's the smartness of Jujutsu, okay?
And I do that as a woman because it gives me more power.
Yes.
Because I'm not going to be able to manhandle in any way somebody bigger than me.
Yeah.
Everybody's bigger than me.
All about
Yeah, so that's really
leverage.
important. So I weigh about 160 pounds. You can do this against someone who weighs 360 pounds. And here's the reason why. Is Claire's, what she's saying is, she's going to put their arm, which is 50 pounds, right into the center of her mass. So she's no longer dealing with 360, she's dealing with 50.
Whether you not refer to it as my mass. But...
Okay, true. Okay, and before they can recover, she just keeps pulling away or turning so they can never catch up. And she's just guiding that arm down without letting them catch up to it. That's the technique. All right, so let's show some variations on this, okay? Yes. I'm going to push you. So you have your hands ready. Yes, and do the movement. Yes. Good. Last thought on this. Come back to the front. Here's the other great thing about this atemi. Whether I'm pushing or pulling or whatever, throw that atemi in. The next thing I'm likely to do is try to right myself, which means coming back toward him, which means I'm giving him energy to use. So as I come back, go ahead and use it. Yeah, good. Perfect. Yeah, you didn't have to get it just right. It worked fine. Yeah, it worked too well. The hardest thing to do is deal, go ahead and let me grab it again, is deal with a person who is static, who has his balance right over his feet, and is strong. That's the hard place. If you were to just try to deal with this arm now, go ahead. No, I'm going to be strong, I'm going to start pounding on you. But if you give me something to think about, and as I come back, yes. Okay. The more you can get me moving and tipped off balance one way or the other, the harder it is for me to be strong. And that's what you're doing. Let's say, and we're going to go faster because it's all the same principles, just different start. Let's say cross hand grab. There, same thing. They're certainly doing this just to hit, right? Go ahead, hit. Boom. I want to get outside the attack line, so watch what I do. There it is. And I did the circle one that time. Comes on, I'm going to go outside the attack line, drag. There. I didn't use an atemi that time, and the reason is I just didn't feel like I needed to because I was so far away. I didn't feel like I needed to
try to get it.
Yeah, but if I started losing control here, I would, and then I continue. You can also use your foot as an atemi too. It doesn't just have to be your hand. Anything that you want to use that's available. Go ahead. I'm going to do this one this time. Yes, I grabbed very close, not out here. So he used that atemi, go ahead, to straighten my arm. Because when I back up, it's going to straighten my arm. Okay, not everything we just said.
Yeah. There.
There. Yeah, perfect. So now let's say two-hand grab. So now I got no hands for atemi. And the bad news is I have neither hand to work with. The good news is I have both of his arms to work with, and that's a good attitude. I can use either arm I want to and apply this to it. There, either one. If I feel like I need an atemi, I'll use my foot. All right, just like that. Go to the side and grab on, just like that. All right, Brady, do that back. Oh, yes. Good. So instead of moving out of the way, he made me respond. Okay, next one, shoulder grab. I'm going to do the same thing I did with the wrist. I'm just going to do it off the shoulder. And the great thing is I have a lot more now available. So I'm going to hit him back, turn this down. This is really the easiest one. Good. All right. Go. A middle push. He grabs me on the shoulder. Whoa. I give him that, and look, I moved over to the side. There's my technique. Okay. All right. Click. Give him something to think about. And put him down. Good. Other side. Arm when he's getting up. Yeah. Okay, good. Once we put someone down to the ground, here's a good way to get away. Now, we have another video on pins, because this isn't really the full pin yet. We're not going to do that. But I don't want to just drop this and stand right here. It'd be a terrible thing to do, right? So what I want to do is back away from his front corner and get some space. That's the best thing to do. I put someone down to the ground here, right here. What I like to do, if I'm not going to pin them, now usually I'll want to hold them and pin them and call for help, but if I'm going to let them go, or just for good practice, I'm going to back away from their front corner. That way they can't reach you. Just reach out with your arm. Yeah, you can't reach me. And I'm far enough away. My hands are at the threat level most of the time. In this case, the threat is there, so my hands are right in between us. If he did come up toward me, you can see how ready I am. Okay? So you want to have that awareness. That's called zanshin. I'm aware of what's going on from the beginning to the end. In fact, when he grabbed me, whether it's the shoulder, or the wrist, whichever one it is, notice that this other hand comes alive. If his hand went up, mine's going up too. I like to keep mine pretty much at the level of the threat. That doesn't mean necessarily that he's going to shoot right here, but whether he shoots up a little higher or a little lower, I don't have to move much. And that's real important. I want to have to move less than him. All right? All right, so next possibility, both shoulders. Okay, so right here, I'm going to move to the side and strike. If I need an atemi, something to make him think, I might strike him here, might strike him here, and move to the side. Again, come back up. If it's bent, if he pulls me into him, then it's not going to be this number one. Yeah, now I could do that, push him back and put it on. Or I could do one of the other techniques. But anyway, that's the deal. All right, how about two-hand choke? It's the same thing. There. This is going to be really good because he's pushing at you to put this choke on. So if you can not get too worried about it, go. Just pick one and go. Good. Nice. Nice circle. Good. Yeah. Nice. You can find this technique. All right. So that's good. How about if he, I don't have that much, but how about if he pulled my hair down? Ow. I can actually use this and put this technique on with not a problem. Yeah?
Yeah.
How about if he grabs me this way to give me the noogie? Yeah, that is a terrible thing. All right, first thing first is, there's an easy way out of this if I'm fast enough. If I just go, oh my gosh, go ahead, do it. He can't actually get me. So do that again. All I'd have to do is have my arms right here, and he can't close down because he can't get this neck. But if he gets it, all right, I'm going to give him something to think about, which is probably going to be like a pinch, and then I can put this on. Bring you down here. Okay, good. Yep. And we'll have a whole series on that. A lot of options for that, but that's just one way to show that you can do this from there. What else? Let's start going to the back. Two-hand shoulder grab. There. From here, there's two basic ways I like to know what's going on behind me. One is to sink to the side and turn in. Make sure it's not my mom I'm about to blast. The other is to step out. Those are the two ways I like to do this. To help me out, I like to have 1 foot back. Let me switch this way for the camera. 1 foot back. If I have it this way, and I try to turn, I'm kind of crossed on myself. But I have one foot back, I turn in, and I've got a straight shot. That's called my power foot. There. So let's show that you can find this number one from both. So the first one I show is sinking down to the side. We give them something to think about. Boom. All right. Yeah. Drop under and bring them out. Come back up. Here's what I did. I gave them something to think about. I used my elbow and I squatted down and pushed this up, and there it is. Okay, good. The lower I can get, the easier. The other one was that I turned and step out, and there it is. My hands are at the level of thread. I can feel them right there. Turning, and you can see, there it is. All right, yeah, just sink down and whack them. Okay. Oh, very nice. Go on. Two shoulder grab. Go ahead. Nice. Grab the collar. There. I like to kind of peek and see what's happening. If I sink in, I can do the same thing as before. Okay. Alright, if I sink in, same thing I did before. Okay. If I turn in and I'm inside, I hit him, bring it over. I hit him, reached over, and twisted back. If I had been on this side, turned behind him, okay, I just did it. So it's okay if you end up inside. If I end up inside, it's alright. I just know I need to be back outside. Okay. Oh, real good. Yeah, good. How about two wrist grabs? This is not too likely. What I want to do is throw my rear end back, and there it is. So I'm not going to try to bring him forward. It's going to be difficult. Instead, I'm going to keep my hands where they are and throw myself. I'll do the wrist one. Go ahead. How about this? He grabs me from the side. Yeah, I'm trying to get away. Boom. Yeah, and there it is. Okay. And you can grab it two hands. Same thing. So there it is. Anytime he grabs me with two hands, the secret is I'm only going to worry about one of them. If I think about two hands, it's going to be difficult. If I think I'll use this one, or grab two on the same side, I'll use this one. It's a lot easier. I didn't even use fancy footwork that time. All I did is walk around so I could get out here and deal with this one. I could have just as easily gone over on this side and deal with this one. How about a
I don't think there's any
choke? Okay. This was pretty difficult to get from here, but you can hit here just to show. It's there. Same thing if you got the hand of your mouth. It's there. Yeah, and I think, oh, and bear hugs. So he bear hugs me inside. He's going to throw me down to the ground is what he's going to do. Boom, good. So what I need to do is settle my weight, and throw my hip back, and start smacking him. Give him something to think about. Break this open, and look. There it is. The harder one is outside. Now, to be totally honest, this is probably the one technique, one situation where we're not going to be able to get this one if he closes this in here. it's just a lot to work with. So we do need to work on our strike technique. So we're gonna have to start doing our hammers and our back fists and throwing this out. But if we can puff out real quick when we see it coming on, oh, look at that. There it is. So it's right there. In the case of that one, there are definitely more complex techniques that are going to be easier to get, like a wrist twist. But I just want to show you can get to these basic ones from there. Yeah. One more. I didn't show for me either. Pull your hair back. So just spin around. And yeah.
Oh, you there.
Yeah. Lock. Twist the wrong way to get out of that. Yeah, and that's not going to feel good. Or even try to twist into her the other way with it. That's not going to feel good either. And she's only doing it with one hand. So now slide away.
One of the things I really enjoy about Jujutsu is how flexible it is in terms of responses to problems. I'd like to demonstrate that with the attack that we showed in the beginning of this video. Take a look at how many different ways I set up my response just by what I do to the hand that's grabbing my shoulder. In some cases, I simply hold on to that hand to make sure I know where it is, kind of feeling for it. In some cases, I draw the hand forward to bring him off balance, move him more forward than he expected to be. In some cases, I press upward on it to lock his elbow out and drive him back in a way that he didn't expect. Once you get the basics down, there's no end to how far you can grow as you just keep learning more about your own body.
To teach students the principle of Proverbs 15:1, a gentle answer defeats wrath. Now, you know that we do teach strikes and kicks, and we do that because they're powerful and they are definitely useful in self-defense. The problem with strikes is when you hit somebody, they get angrier until you hit them so hard that they're too damaged to respond. As a Christian, I prefer to use that in last resort. What I'd rather do if I can first is use a jujitsu technique, a softer answer to control a person down to the ground to a place where we might be able to talk this over. Jujitsu is, of course, very powerful, so I can take the techniques to a definitive fight-ending place if I must. But I can also stop short of that in a place where I've controlled the person down and I haven't harmed them. That's what I like about it. That's Proverbs 15:1. It creates an opportunity where we might be able to have a relationship after this. Whereas if you're bashing people over and over, there is no chance.